Hello everyone, welcome back to Four Intestines. I'm Arisha. This is episode 5, but it's my second solo episode, and welcome back. Again, I feel like I say this before every episode, but this is my second time filming this. The first time the audio got completely fried, which was really disappointing because I always like have a specific day to film these episodes, and when I saw that the audio got fried, I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do now? But well, here we go, round 2. Whew, I'm very nervous that this is not gonna work out. I'm gonna have to film it again, which is why I decided to wear a turtleneck today, so I look more professional. Anyway, today we're going to talk about books. I realized it was time to stop subjecting myself to it was time to stop ignoring my innermost feelings. What do you mean I have a podcast and I'm not going to talk about books? That's insane. I love talking about books, and today I'm finally gonna do it. Today I thought we'd talk about my favorite books. They're not exactly my favorite because I feel like I'm gonna read more books in the future, and then there's gonna be books that in the future will become my favorite books. And so, like, do my favorite books now even matter if they won't be my favorite books later? But that's really weird thinking because, like, yeah, obviously the present is important. So we're gonna talk about my current. I just picked up 3 books. They're not exactly my favorite as in like favorite, like something that I would literally die for. They're just books I really enjoy, and I think about a lot, and I want to share with you guys because I'm just so nice. Anyway, I started reading. I always like fancied myself a reader, but like I think I actually really started reading when I was like 11. Perfect age to read the Harry Potter books, so that's what I started with. I only had the first Harry Potter book, so my dad got me the others on Kindle, and ever since then I was hooked on Harry Potter. I still am. I love it. I love it. I just finished rewatching all the Harry Potter movies, and I remember this was in 2020, during COVID. I remember getting to the last Harry Potter book, The Deathly Hallows, and feeling so upset. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be done with Harry Potter. And I sometimes still feel upset. I would do anything to read the Harry Potter books for the first time again. But like, reading Harry Potter has allowed me to read more books and grow as a person by experiencing different stories, different writing. So I think that's good. And I think that's when I started actually reading. I used to read only fantasy. Like, I used to be like, yeah, I'm a fantasy girl. I was 11, okay? And I used to wait my Hogwarts letter because I was 11. But now my reading has obviously evolved as I've gotten older. I've gotten familiarized with a lot more stuff. I've been able to understand what literature is. And I feel really bad for people who don't like understand literature or writing because it's such a vast, such a beautiful topic. Fun story, you guys know Animal Farm by George Orwell. I read that, we read that last year, and it was like probably the best 6 months of my life reading that in school because our teacher was able to explain it so well. And reading Animal Farm, I was so flabbergasted at how incredible it is. And now whenever I see I read it in 7th grade. Now when I see other 7th graders reading Animal Farm, I get so jealous because what do you mean they get to read Animal Farm for the first time again and I don't? What do you mean they get to do their classes again? What is this, huh? And I just want to tell them that no, you don't love that book like I love that book, which is absurd considering it's Animal Farm, but still, I still haven't read 1984 yet because I was so shocked by Animal Farm that I want a perfect moment to read 1984 so I can actually digest it and take my time with it. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the books I wanted to talk about. Okay, so the first one, I don't know how common this book is. It's not niche, it's Stephen King. It's called Misery. I'm pretty sure it showed up mirrored on the thing, but it's Misery by Stephen King. This is my brother's copy. Dude, this was the first Stephen King book I ever read. I read it when I was like 12, which is not the right age to read it. I reread it times after that and I was able to catch on more. Whoa, I want to read you the synopsis because I'm really bad at summarizing books. Best-selling novelist Paul Sheldon has finally met his biggest fan. Her name is Annie Wykes, and she is dismayed to discover Paul's plan to kill off Misery Chaston, the heroine of his beloved series. Annie is more than a rabid reader. She is Paul's nurse, tending his shattered body after an automobile accident. She is also his captor, imprisoning him in her isolated house where no one knows he is. Annie wants Paul to write his greatest work just for her. She has a lot of ways to spur him on. One is a needle, another is an axe, and then there's the blowtorch. I don't know how much you catched from that synopsis, but this book is terrifying. It's about this novelist Paul Sheldon, and after an automobile accident, his biggest fan Annie Wykes has rescued him and kept him in his house as a captor, in her house as a captor, and it is incredible. I don't have a favorite author. I usually read from a set of authors because I just feel like I get why you would want to have an author you like, the writing, you can always trust it. However, I just feel better reading from a wide range of authors rather than just one. But I think if I were to have a favorite author, it would be Stephen King. I have read a lot of his work, and this was the first work I read, and it's still my favorite thing. I love this book. So Stephen King is, I think I hold him to be the epitome of suspense and thriller and horror. You have everything from killing cars and a group of kids fighting a killer clown. His supernatural is incredible. This is not a supernatural book, but if you've read any of his supernatural work, I don't know if Carrie counts, Carrie or The Shining or It, you'll see how well he also does supernatural. But for me, I find his non-supernatural work a lot more fun, such as Misery. The reason why I love this so much is the writing. That's the only reason I like this. I've read a lot of Stephen King work, and I think no writing has moved me as much as this has. I had a paragraph that I underlined or something. I would read it to you, but it's really long, and I don't want to spoil anything. I think this is the type of book you just have to read for yourself, but it's amazing. It's very scary. It's not scary as in the ghosts and killing. It's scary as in this man is being tortured and enslaved, yet it's so suspenseful. There are just moments in this book where I'm frozen in my seat and I'm like, holy shit, dude, run away. Because when the antagonist comes in, things are gonna get bad. It is beautifully written, and the pacing. I've read a lot of books, and I don't think there is a book that has better pacing than this. It's excruciatingly fast paced. It's only how long is this book? 361 words. It's not that much. Well, it is. 361 is a lot, but for this type of book, it's not. It's so fast paced, and let me tell you, I love the tone of this book. When you think about horror, you usually think of when I think of horror, I don't know if this is true for everyone, I think of cynicism. Because when you put a character in an unmovable situation in horror, think of okay, I feel like this is a bad example, but you guys know the Friday the 13th movies, right? Jason Voorhees killing off camp counselors. That's a horror movie. It sucks, but it's still a horror movie. And like when you watch that movie, there's nothing. It's just a killer killing off people. It's so, there's no hope for any of the characters because they're just gonna die sooner or later. And I think, well, my favorite horror movie, Hereditary. It's a movie about a family who is been like killed off because of a curse. And I know it sounds very like ambiguous and very cliche, but trust me, it's an amazing movie. And that movie is so cynical because you know that there's no hope for any of the characters. And I think that's one thing that makes the horror genre good. Like when you find out that there's no way you can beat any of these people, it's like it adds a new layer of depth to the entire series or media or film, whatever you're talking about. But Misery is not like that. Paul, the main character, it's written in first person POV, and Paul is so despairing at times because he knows that there's no way he's going to be able to get out of this house and live a normal life again. But there are moments that he just like, I don't know where it comes from, it's this random surge of euphoria, and his writing just rockets off. And you read that and you're like, holy shit, this book is amazing. It manages to stay hopeful without completely being like, oh yeah, false optimism. And I love that. Another thing about this book that like sets it over the edge is Paul Sheldon, the main character. He's a writer and he has this series called Misery. And it's like there are parts from Misery, the book, like Paul's book, inside this book. So it's like a book within a book. And I don't know about you, but I fucking love when there are books within books or there's media within media. I love it. You guys know the Scream franchise? It's another horror movie franchise. They have, in the Scream franchise, they have another movie franchise within the Scream franchise, and it's called Stab. I love when people do that. It's like my favorite thing. And I just like, this book is amazing. It's amazing. It's also very scary at some points, so I wouldn't recommend reading it if you like don't like suspense. But like, come on, who doesn't like suspense? It's wow. And I just like, I don't think horror or thriller can get as good as this. I don't know when it was published, but if you ever want to read something scary, but not like surface level scary, like, you know, okay, this was published in 1987. If you want scary, I think if you want scary, but you also want it to be not like bland scary, just good scary, this is the book. I love this. I have read it so many times and I'm going to continue reading it because it never gets old. Stephen King, slays, dude. Sorry, did I just use slave for one of the greatest authors? Sorry. Yeah, I just really like Stephen King. I haven't been able to buy any more Stephen King books because I just can't find them for some reason. I managed to get his newest book, Fairy Tale, and it's not like I didn't like that book, I just feel like it's not that good. Nothing compared to Misery. I don't think any book can top Misery. Next we have Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I actually really liked this cover, but one of my family members said it sucked, but I still like it. I just feel like it's really cool. Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I'm not pronouncing that right. I think I should have seen a video before I pronounce it, and I'm really sorry. But this book, okay. Where do I start with this? I got this as a birthday gift, and I read it this year, which is pretty recent since I've read all of the other books like 1 or 2 years ago. But this book, I read it this year. I got it for my birthday. My mom bought it for me, and I I cannot begin to explain how much I adore this book. It's my favorite classic. It's okay, for those of you who don't know, Crime and Punishment, Fyodor Dostoevsky, Russian novel. Fyodor Dostoevsky was one of the, I think he still is one of the most prominent Russian writers of his time. I'm not that well versed in the subject, however, I've seen his work everywhere, and I know he's a very well-respected and well-respected classic author. And the thing is, right, I have always wanted to read one of his books, and Crime and Punishment just seemed like the first thing, like the natural option to start off with. And I just like, after reading Crime and Punishment, I want to read all of his works. I cannot find any for some reason, but I love this book. Okay, now what is this book about? There's not a blurb on the back, so I'm gonna have to make the synopsis myself. It's about this very poor law student, Raskolnikov. I'm just gonna call him, Raskolnikov. And he murders, it's not a spoiler, you'll see this in every single synopsis. He murders an old pawnbroker for her money. And the entire book, I'm not joking, like this, I don't know how long this book is, 400 pages, I suppose. Yeah, it's 568 pages, almost 600. This entire book is just him spiraling out of control. At first, you think, okay, he's got this, and then he doesn't got this, and it is just amazing. I think it's like one of the first good psychological thrillers, and I love it. It's like, after he commits the crime, hence the name Crime and Punishment, and after he commits the crime, you get to see how he feels about it, how people around him feel about it, who knows, who doesn't. It's such a good mystery. And I know it's gonna seem like a quite simple premise. He murders a girl, has to deal with the guilt. But the thing is, I feel like Crime and Punishment is so much more than that. It's more of a social commentary at some sorts, and I don't want to call it a social commentary because I feel like that's tainting the novel. It takes place in, I actually don't remember, but it's more so about poverty and class rather than the murder, because you see each of the characters in this novel are poor. They're devastatingly poor, and you get to see how every single character in this novel deals with poverty. There are people like Raskolnikov who just go out of their way and commit to the extreme. And then Raskolnikov's friend Sonia, she sells her body for poverty. There's people like Madame something, I forgot her name. She, instead of dealing her poverty head on, completely goes insane. There's people like another character, Marmeladov, and he, instead of facing his poverty head on, gets drunk, flies off. And I know it's such a simple premise. Well, not simple, so to speak, but it's such a, regular premise, poverty. But it's explained in such a way that you are completely captivated. Another thing I love about this book is I recommend taking your time with it if you ever read it. It took me like 3 weeks to finish, and I'm really glad it did, because reading it just completely changed my perspective on a lot of things. And it also, another thing that this book did was it's not exactly fast paced, but it's not exactly slow either. It moves at a perfect pace, and it's so infuriating at times. Like, the main character is so infuriating, but he's so well done, honestly, and it's incredibly well written. And another thing that I love about this book is the main character's occupations. He's a student, okay, but the way he talks, he thinks he is above everyone, and that is another theme that is very well explained in this novel. I love narcissistic novels. I love when you have a character that is so narcissistic and you get to see them either grow or completely get cut off. Like, I'm sure you've all heard of the Song of Achilles, and the main character, one of the main characters, Achilles, is so egotistic, yet you just love reading it. This book, he's so egoist, the main character, but I just love it. I love novels with narcissistic characters. And there's another book, I don't know, I just love when stuff is like that. And this book is a perfect example of that. I love it. There are just some moments in this book that had me completely, like, shocked, honestly. Like, you expect things to happen, but the way they happen is very different. Another thing that I love about this novel is, wait, I forgot, shit. Yeah, that's, oh, right, the ending. I have to talk about the ending. Oh, I forgot to talk about the ending in Misery too. Holy shit, oh my god, okay, no, never mind. The ending in this is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. Literally, you look at what Raskolnikov is feeling in the ending, and it is so sad, honestly. But it's also strangely uplifting sometimes. Like, the ending kind of just made me feel really upset for Raskolnikov, because when it all boils down to it, you can't truly despise a person in poverty. However, in this book, it's so upsetting, and I feel like you learn more about the main character as you go on, which I know is the case for every book, but for this book, it's just different, and I love it. I love this. It's my favorite classic of all time. I honestly cannot wait to read it again. I finished reading it in May. I finished reading this in May, so I'm waiting for a time to read it again, and I cannot find where it was, when it was published. However, look at this art. Isn't that nice? Part 1. I think there are 4 parts to this novel. There's one quote that I love from this book. It's called, "Your biggest sin is that you have lied to and betrayed yourself for nothing." I don't know if that was the exact quote, I'm sorry, but that is like one of my favorites. I love this book, and I really hope, if you like psychological thriller, if you like classic, it's amazing. And also, it was my first time reading a piece of Russian literature, and I really want to read stuff like Nikolai Gogol and more of Fyodor Dostoevsky's books. And exactly, yeah, I love it. And I just want to read more of his books. So yeah, Crime and Punishment, amazing. I hope you give it a go, honestly. I'm sorry, I just have to kiss all my books. Okay, we're on to the last one, and then maybe I can do some honorary mentions. Oh, also, you guys see my bookshelf? I got it new. I love it. These all were on my bookshelf. It's so nice. It has glass, and I forgot to close the sliding glasses here. But we'll just ignore that for the sake of ignoring it. Okay, last book. I think this is a lot more niche than the other 2 books, though I have no idea because I've never seen anyone who's read it. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. It's a handful of a title. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. And it's the winner of the Whitbread Book of the Year. I think this was published in 2009. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was published in 2003. Okay. Yes. Yeah, 2003. Okay, let me tell you about this book. Let me read you the synopsis, because, like I said, I'm horrible at reading synopsis. 15-year-old Christopher has a photographic memory. He understands math. He understands science. What he can't understand are other human beings. When he finds his neighbor's dog lying dead on the lawn, He decides to track down the killer and write a murder mystery about it. But what other mysteries will he end up uncovering? And there's a review from Observer on the back. Gave me that rare, greedy feeling of, this is so good, I want to read it all at once, but I mustn't, or it will be over too soon. By Observer. Amen, because that is exactly what this book feels like. It is so good. So Christopher is autistic, and he is trying to find out how who killed his neighbor's dog. And this book, it changed me. Okay, I don't mean that in like a dramatic way, like, oh yeah, it changed my life, but it did in a way. I read this a long time ago, and then I reread it, and I love it, man. And okay, let me tell you. So that's all this book is. Christopher, the main premise, Christopher trying to find out who killed his neighbor's dog. But while trying to find that out, he finds out so many, let me show you the cover. He finds out so many new mysteries, and it is just amazing. I don't mean to be dramatic, but the ending of this book is so touching to me. It makes me feel like everything is going to be alright, you know? And I love it. And Christopher, when he writes stuff about the dog, because he says that this book is supposed to be a murder mystery, he also adds these little chapters of other things which really add to his character, and I'm just like flabbergasted because they're so nicely written. Also, another thing that I love about this book is the plot twist. The thing about plot twist is to make a plot twist good, right? You have to have a good reaction. Like, it doesn't matter how good the plot twist is if people don't react to it properly. And I think this plot twist, the climax of this novel, is amazing. I haven't read this in a long time, so I can't really show you anything. Yeah, I think I can't read anything out, but I love this book so fucking much, honestly. And it is such a rare and such a fine novel. I've never read anything like this. I know I keep saying the same words over and over again, and I'm blabbering incoherently, but I just feel like that's what this book does to me. It's so precise, so nicely written, and the story is incredible. It takes place in, I think the town's name was Swindon, although I'm not sure, I'm not very well versed in English towns or things. But I love the way it's written, and the ending makes me feel like everything is alright. I don't know, it's just like I read the ending and I think about the ending and I'm like, holy shit, things are going to be alright. It's sort of like, if Christopher can do this, so can I. Which is weird because like I don't know, it just, this book holds such a very big space in my heart. And I don't know how to describe it because I think it's like the type of book you have to read for yourself to understand. However, it is just amazing. I don't have any, I'm trying to look for some sort of like chapter or a line that will actually work, but I can't find it. So yeah, I love this book, and it's also very realistic. Like, realistic as in, I like the characters besides Christopher, like his mom, his parents, the other characters. They're very well written, and they're very, like, they're presented very nicely. I can't find a single flaw in this book, but I feel like every book is supposed to have flaws, even no matter how nitpicky. But I don't. Like, this book is just amazing. I really hope you read it. one day. Sorry, I'm blabbing, but I have this one thing which I really like. Anyway, yeah. Okay. I have this. This is probably my favorite chapter in my book. And I liked it. I really like this paragraph. After I read it again, and then I read it again, and it's nothing in particular that I like about this paragraph. I just like it for the sake of liking it. Mr. Jevons, the psychologist at the school, once asked me why 4 red cars in a row made it a good day, and 3 red cars in a row made it a quite good day, and 5 red cars in a row made it a super good day, and why 4 yellow cars in a row made it a black day, which is a day when I don't speak to anyone and sit on my own, reading books, and I don't eat lunch and take no risks. He said that I was clearly a very logical person, so he was surprised that I should think like this because it wasn't very logical. I said that I liked things to be in a nice order, and one way of those things being in a nice order was to be logical, especially if those things were numbers or an argument. But there were other ways of putting things in a nice order, and that's why I had good days and black days. And I said that some people who worked in an office came out of their house in the morning and saw that the sun was shining and it made them feel happy, or they saw that it was raining and it made them feel sad. But the only difference was the weather. And if they worked in an office, the weather didn't have anything to do whether they had a good day or a bad day. And I love that paragraph. This book is so fine and rare and just unique and beautiful, and I don't think there is enough adjectives in this world for me to actually properly describe how much I like this book. Everyone, I love all of these 3 books equally. Honestly, I do. They're amazing. So I can't really put a favorite on them. I think my favorite book is still in there. I didn't pick those out because I wanted only 3 books to talk about, but maybe we'll say that for another day, and I'll make a much more longer episode. Should I say some honorary mentions of books? You know what? Fine. Let's go with 5 books out of the top of my head that I really enjoy. Harry Potter, entire Harry Potter series, amazing. Shut up. I recently reread all of the Harry Potter books. Well, not all of them, but most of them, and I will never shut up about the Harry Potter books. What else do I have? The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie is an incredible detective fiction writer, and I remember reading The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which broke all of the conventional rules of detective fiction, and I remember at the ending, at the reveal of who the killer was, my mouth was agape. I was like, and I had guests at my house, so I couldn't brood on it, and I had to go serve the guests instead of realizing that was the murder. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. I got my arithmetic teacher to buy one at a book fair we had at school, and I hope she read it. If you're watching this, miss, please read it. And then we had what other honorary mentions do I have? The Book Thief, Marcus Zusak. I think that's a very popular book. I think it should be a mandatory reading for everyone. It is written so beautifully. It's narrated by death, the metaphors, the imagery, the personifications. The Book Thief is incredible. It's incredibly tragic too. And I think if I were to make a list of my top 10 favorite books, The Book Thief would definitely be there. What else do I have? A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. That book is incredible. I don't own a copy of that book since I read it on Kindle. However, I've read it, I think, it's the thing about A Thousand Splendid Suns is I reread that book every 2 months. I reread it this year too, incredible book. It's about two girls fighting for their lives in Taliban Afghanistan. Amazing, it's tragic, it's a beautiful story, it's incredibly fast-paced, and it leaves you overwhelmed with the joy and tragedy of Afghanistan and war. And I think that book, A Thousand Splendid Suns, has taught me more about womanhood and life more than, honestly, anything. What else do I have? Okay, not really much else. Yeah, okay, not really much else. There's The Song of Achilles, Madeline Miller. No. There's The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It's a book talk book, so I know, but I think it deserves an honorary mention because it's really good. What the fuck, yeah, it's really, really good. Oh, there's another book, it's a bit niche, I think Powerless by Matthew Cody. It's about this group of children who have superpowers, and the superpowers go away once they turn 13, and it's a beautiful book about childhood and growing up and losing touch, and and the story is incredible. Yeah, I guess that's it. I don't have any more honorary mentions, and even if I do, I'll have to think about them. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and is it really surprising that my hair is in an even worse state than it was when I started? Thanks for watching, I guess. I don't really have much to say, I just wanted to blab about books I liked for a while. Maybe I'll make another book like this, not book like this, what the fuck, episode like this, and I hope you enjoyed listening. Yeah, let me know if you have any favorite books that you really enjoy, if you have anything you'd want us to talk about, if you like our podcast, and if not, that's fine. We appreciate you for watching anyway. Yeah, see ya.